Okay, now joining the show is the AP's godfather, my nemesis, best friend, Ralph Russo. How are you doing today, Ralph?
Doing wonderful, Ari. It's always great to see you in person.
So, before the season started, I'm just going to cut right into brass tacks. We're going to do this quickly. You picked Alabama to win a national championship based on the way that I view the sport, which is how could a team that has that many good players not win? Obviously, Alabama is an entirely different story with the way things went, but here we are in Houston for the national championship game, and we got two teams that are outside of that high threshold. What is your analysis of how this went this year, and are you surprised that we're in this position?
So I'm hesitant to say that this is the beginning of a trend, because I see Michigan and Washington as these two teams that are seem a little bit anomalies because of all the experience. In fact, Ari, I'm a good deal older than you. This feels old school to me. This is the way sometimes national championships were decided in the 80s and 70s and even maybe into the 90s, where you had teams cycle up, have a bunch of upperclassmen who all hit, and then they're really good, and then those upperclassmen cycle out, and teams take a step back. That's been distorted over the years, in recent years, because these teams are, as you call them, and I call them super teams, right? You're recruiting so well that you don't need experience because you have just a wealth of talent. So I'm a little with you, and I don't know, it'd be interesting to see if this maybe becomes a trend with the transfer portal and NIL keeping kids around a little longer, but I'm hesitant to think of this as a trend. I think it was a confluence of events.
That's really interesting. I actually had never thought about that, Ralph. The notion that kids used to go to a school, they would redshirt, learn the playbook, get bigger, gain experience, and maybe by their sophomore or junior years be ready to play. And now you have all these six-year seniors on Washington's team. You've got players with experience on Michigan's team. I feel like this can't be a trend because people leave so frequently now.
Well, it's the recruiting industrial complex. The kids who are coming into school now, especially the 5 stars and the 4 stars that you love, they are ready to play.
Right.
That wasn't the case in the 80s. Even the best high school players were not ready to play because they weren't at 7-on-7s and they didn't have personal trainers. So everything has been accelerated in the sport. However, if you can get a bunch of fifth-year guys, and in this case, sixth-year guys, that's going to balance out while Alabama is trying to figure it out with its young blue chippers. Michigan, they got it all figured out, right? And that was essentially what separated those two teams last week. I think Michigan was a little better at problem solving, right? I think their experience really came through. And certainly the same thing with Washington. I mean, they look like a team that's been together for a while because they are. But again, I don't know, once the COVID year blows out, I don't know if that's a sustainable trend as much as it's just, hey, we got this interesting season where the super teams were just a little down and these super experienced teams were able to trump them.
Well, I've just been asking everybody, Ralph, and I'm going to ask you, what's your take on this game? How do you view it? What's your analysis? And maybe something that you see that other people don't because you have such a unique view of sport.
Well, listen, man. First of all, I've been wrong on both of these teams for a lot.
All of us have.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Ohio State. I picked Alabama. I picked Oregon twice. So what the hell do I know?
I think I've brainwashed you a little bit.
Well, again,
I have brainwashed you a little bit.
You see the sport through a similar lens. You're just more fanatical about it.
I love that word, fanatical.
Here's what I would say. I don't think Michigan's come this far to lose. I do,
that way, doesn't it?
And I do worry about a team like Washington giving up 480 yards and winning like they did last week against Texas. Bad defense or shaky defense is sticky. That usually shows up. And there's only so many times you can ask your defense, hey, just get that one big stop. At a certain point. At a certain point, you don't. So I think this is the point where Washington has a hard time getting that one big stop. I will say that super interesting contrast in styles, obviously, because I think Washington's opponents end up playing like Washington, and I think Michigan makes its opponents play like Michigan. So which one dictates the style?
Yes. Okay, is there anything about this game that you've thought, I'm going to ask everybody this, it's been a very hard game to analyze because of that reason, Ralph. Is there an angle that you took or a thing that you think that might be a little bit different that you're kind of workshopping through that you can share with us? Or is it just kind of which style's going to win?
I don't know if I'm workshopping through. I do find I think we underrated how good Michigan was defending the pass. I know their defense is good, but I'm like narrow it down. Their pass defense is really good. So I think that interesting strength on strength, right? I mean, like, can they are really good at getting pressure. Penix is completely unfazed by pressure. It's not even that they didn't have any sacks last week. Texas got some pressure. It didn't matter. Like, Penix, when you get pressure on him, he just sort of shrugs it off. So I don't know if I'm breaking any new ground on that, but that interesting strength on strength, the best passing game in the country against maybe the best pass defense. But as Brock Eward, the former Husky and the guy on Fox analyst told me, Michigan has not seen anything like this. Throughout the entire season, they have never faced an offense like this.
Yeah.
And you say this too, and I agree. This is another place where you and I agree. In college football, offense tends to win out.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Michigan has to win this game with offense. The idea that Michigan's going to shut down Washington, that's not going to happen.
I'm with you on that.
Where Michigan will win this game is by running for 250 yards and JJ goes off. Like, I think they have the ability to have their best offensive game of the season.
Well, Ralph, I really appreciate you. We talked 5 minutes without trying to strangle each other, which is an improvement. We're probably going to be talking quite a bit into the offseason, and you're one of the best guests on the show, so I appreciate you joining us, and enjoy the game.
Thanks, Ari. You guys do a great job.
Yeah, appreciate you, Ralph. Thank you.